All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Divisional round preview is here. Got four great matchups coming up just tomorrow as when this video comes out. So the way it lines up, I get to start us off as, my Rams are going to be into that third slot. So we'll kick it off onto our Saturday slate, the Texans Chiefs, a matchup we just saw about a month ago with the preview of those Christmas games. And I mean, obviously the Chiefs dominated that game, especially after the Tank Dell injury, which that's a big point of emphasis going into this game. Which also a point that we haven't talked about. The whole Deontay Johnson got released once again, then the Ravens claimed him once again, which that's something we can get into at another time. But yeah, the road for the three-peat starts now for KC, and they head up against a Texan secondary who obviously looked very well against the Chargers last week. Getting 4 interceptions on Justin Herbert. But let's not forget, they're not playing Justin Herbert and the playoff Justin Herbert. They're going up against one of the best playoff performers in NFL history, at least up until this point. And he carved them up in that Week 16 matchup. I got to expect the same out of this one. We also remember Joe Mixon in last week. Phenomenal, probably a resurgence of this season, getting 106 yards, getting back into the end zone. Let's also remember in that Week 16 matchup, this defense held him to 57 yards. Really wasn't able to get that run game going. Probably expect a lot of the same here. And also CJ Stroud, even in a win, wasn't able to stay on his feet. That O-line kept, obviously those struggles for the Texans O-line continued, sacked 3 times. Probably expect a lot of the same here. I guess, could see a recurring thing. I mean, obviously the Texans are underdogs. That's where they want to be. Could they shock the world and maybe get a better result here? It's hard for me to see this. I definitely got to say the Chiefs are going to continue this dominance, get another AFC Championship game at home. Give me the Chiefs 30-17.
Yeah, it's just really hard going against Mahomes in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen what he's able to do in the playoffs, let alone, stats aside with the division run alone. You just can't go against them. The whole team, it's too stacked.
But he's undefeated in the divisional round, right?
I think so. We can fact check on that.
I saw that stat.
But with just the coaching around, the players around him, you got your star running back. You've had your star running back for a bit so far now there too. So he's already a little bit more accustomed to the run game now there too. So I'm gonna expect a lot of feeding to Pacheco. Trying to force feed to him. Going against this KC defense just to slow him down a bit because we know their secondary. You're going to want to expect some takeaways when against this KC offense, and that's exactly what's going to happen for Houston. It's going to be they got to win the turnover battle against the Chiefs if they want to have a decent shot there. But again, like I mentioned, right now you really can't go against Mahomes, so I'm going to take KC on this one as well. And now moving it on with probably the next best one. All these divisional round matchups, they're really good. And Washington traveling to Detroit. Now, obviously, we said this all season about Detroit. Again, just like the Chiefs, this whole team it's ways too stacked when you cut to the coaching from Ben Johnson on the offensive side, from Aaron Glenn on the defensive side, and then just everything all around there too. The receiving core, the running back, like I said, this just straight glazing for this Detroit team, but they're really great all around there too, but obviously that defense is going to be their weak side there too. Obviously they got a couple pieces back on defense, which is really great to see there too against that high-powered Washington offense led by Jaden Daniels, which is, not something to look overpassed by. Everyone's going to expect a really big bluff from Detroit there too, but I really don't think so. I think it's going to be a really close one from Jaden Daniels in this whole offense, but I really do think it's going to come down to the Commanders' defense and how they're going to be able to stop the whole Detroit offense. You got Jameer Gibbs on the running back side, then you got Amon-Ra to stop there too, Sam Laporta, and you got Khalif Raymond is also getting using the offense a little bit around there too. And then Jared Goff, even if Jared Goff doesn't have a decent game, his weapons around him and the defense is what's going to step up, and that's what's made this whole Detroit team very, very scared there. But again, I'm going to have to go with Detroit on this one. It's really hard to go against them, specifically with how well their team is built around them too. I'm going to really expect a close one. It would be such a surprise if Jaden Daniels comes out with another close drive.
Yeah, absolutely. What you say about Jared Goff? Even when he had a absolute shitter against the Vikings in that Week 18 matchup. Jameer Gibbs, those 4 touchdowns really set the tone. And I think that's, the main thing. And I'm going to take the Lions as well. I think even if Jameer Gibbs has a rough game, I'm sure Amon-Ra on the receiving end is going to be able to back that up. If his pass game isn't that good, Jameer, and of course, with David Montgomery already confirmed to come back in this game, could definitely expect either side. If one side's not having the best shot, the other side of the ball is going to work. And look, honestly, I think this is going to be a lot closer. I'm sure we both think this game's a lot closer than a lot of people think. I think Jaden Daniels, already proved the playoff atmosphere isn't going to be too much for him. I think him and Terry are going to have a good couple drives. I think that this game's pretty close, like a 3-point type matchup. But I mean, It's the Lions. I think they've been on a crash course for the NFC Championship for a good while now, and obviously going to expect them to be hosting that. And for their opponent, the Rams and the Eagles, I mean, listen, a lot of people didn't expect this one. Probably one of the few that I actually did. And obviously, we look back into Week 12, this matchup. Eagles came into SoFi and absolutely cooked the Rams. Now, sure, there's a lot of differences going into this game. Now, Stafford was sacked 5 times. The offensive line was struggling at that point. But ever since then, the last 6 matchups, only 4 sacks given up by this Rams offensive line. And in this game, obviously, they will have Rob Havenstein, which is obviously one of our big anchors from that offensive line. And I really think that's going to be a big difference. I think, far from those 5 sacks in that game, I mean, sure that we're going to face some pressure. But let's also not forget that with no Nakobe Dean obviously out for the season, that's going to hurt for them too. I think that's going to really help the Rams run game. I see Kyren Williams, who hasn't been himself, hasn't really, given us those big numbers. I think he'll finally have a 100-yard run game. I think he's going to see a lot more success than, and I think, a big redemption game after 2 fumbles in that last Eagles game. Now, the Eagles run game side, Packers really did hold Saquon in check for at least for what it's worth, under 100 yards. I think he'll be a little more productive, maybe like a 90-yard type game, get into the end zone, but I think for what it's worth, for Saquon standards, I think the Rams do hold him in check too. And the secondary, big part, obviously, Ahkello Witherspoon, won't he be back? If he is back, I think, they kept Addison and Jettis in check pretty well. I think we'll see a lot of the same for Devonta and A.J. Brown. But of course, I think it's going to be pretty contingent on Ahkello whether he plays or not. And if he doesn't, it's going to be big on Darius Williams if he's going to be able to pick up that slack. And I think a very close contested 30-26 win for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I believe this is probably going to be our only disagreement of the week. And I'm going to go with Philly on this one. I really just can't count Saquon out there. And that's what I was going to bring up too. Story of this game, it's going to be that Rams front 7. And that's going to be majority of the defense and how they're going to stop Saquon and how they're going to get to the pressure on Jalen Hurts. That's pretty much what's going to happen there too. And the offense, they gotta shoot early on. There can be no slow starts with Stafford. We saw exactly what he did against the Vikings. The whole offense, the whole defense, no slow starts whatsoever. McVay was absolutely cooking it with the play calling. You gotta get strong, and that's exactly what you need to do against this Philly team if you really want to punch them down in their throats there. But like I said, stopping Saquon, get to Jalen Hurts early, and this probably will be a close one for the Rams there too. But like I said, honestly, I would be happy if the Rams win. Just Philly's knocked out, but I really can't count that out just because of all the weapons that Philly does have. And now finally closing out with the final divisional round matchup, which is probably going to be the one to look out for. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, the head-to-head matchup between 2 MVP frontrunners. Now, like I said, I'm still running. Look, already, I'm going to go with Buffalo on this one. I'm running out with Josh Allen, with my MVP pick, expecting Buffalo to do something well against this one there too. By all means, I don't think this is going to be a runaway favorite to automatically win this game. There's a lot of sides on both sides of the ball. Josh Allen and that offense, you got James Cook on the running back side, and then on the Ravens side, you got Derrick Henry. And I believe that's pretty much that whole offense with why that Ravens offense is. I know everyone's saying Lamar Jackson, this and that with the MVP, way better stats than last season. He should win it there too. But everyone's not realizing when you have Derrick Henry as your running back, it's obviously going to be much, much easier for you to do your job at the quarterback position there. So once Derrick Henry gets going pretty early, I don't think this Buffalo defense is going to find ways to stop this, because like we saw again against the Rams with the Bills, Josh Allen, he put this team on his back there, but that defense could not get any stops whatsoever. If they want to get the stops, exactly what they did against Denver. They allowed 1 touchdown, and right there, they locked in, absolutely shut down the whole the whole Broncos offense. So that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills, they're going to need to do. They're going to need to stop the run game with Derrick Henry, which is a lot to say, right? Better, it's easier said than done there too, and they're going to get to Lamar later. I do think this defense is going to have the opportunity to stop this Ravens team, but it's going to have a lot to say when we're looking on the Baltimore Ravens side, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and then on that defense. Another very great underrated defense there too. But like we said, also in the season, the Ravens pass game has on the defensive side, their pass D's hasn't been one of the best at all there too. So Josh Allen is going to really need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, through a lot of that analysis, it almost sounded like you were going for the Ravens in this one. But yeah. Obviously, we're in agreement. I'm also going to say the same thing. I think it's a very high-scoring matchup, but at the end of the day, I see the Bills pulling it out. I mean, early on in the season, the Ravens absolutely cooked Josh Allen and this Bills defense. But, I mean, look, the only difference here, I mean, hey, they're in Buffalo now. That game was in Baltimore.
Exactly.
And the main difference in this one that I see, Matt Milano was not in that game for the Buffalo Bills defense. Now him, obviously pretty much the anchor on this defense. I think he's going to have a huge part. Despite this being a shootout, in my opinion, I think those specific drives where the defense needs to make those stands, I think Matt Milano is going to use that leadership to really, make that difference. And he's going to be the main reason why I see the Bills pulling this one out. Of course, obviously, 4 huge matchups. We'll see. Obviously, just that one disagreement. We'll see how that one ends up coming out for us. But that's going to do it for us here. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. And we'll see you back to recap these 4 matchups.